What is up, you guys? So I'm going to keep this a little short today for my recap of Detroit because I finally got to watch it last night after a lot of distractions and all that. And I still have to do my recap of softball versus CSUN, but I'm only going to be doing the home game recaps because obviously I'm not going to be traveling out to the mainland to see their games on the road. So I'm going to just focus on the home games only. But in the meantime, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to, or if you just want to see some more of my games. I will try to have one up this coming week. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to keep it short, and let's get into this. Let's start with the 250 class. Cole Davies wins again. Seth Hamaker needs inspiration, but Pro Circuit is crying foul already. I guarantee you that Cole Davies has certainly proven himself to be a great possible champion. Is he going to win it this year? Well, if he does, he'll have to avoid a lot of trouble in the near future because as far as how he was looking through the whoops, he was looking like he was on another level from everybody else. And as for others, I really hope that Nate Thrasher's okay after that last race where he crashed in the whoop section. But that whoop section was gobbling guys up left, right, and center. And, you know, it's kind of like a no-win situation there. You go down the left side, you'll get a good run. You go down the right side, it's a little more cupped out. You go around the middle. You just got to throw up a prayer and hope you don't end up on your head. That's just the way it is. But that was good because that kind of whoop section is what I like to see. And if it gives people trouble in both classes, then I'll go ahead and praise them. But aside from that, I didn't really see a lot of flow with the track and not a lot of really creativity, a real amount of creativity going on. But, you know, the 450 class did leave me a little heated after this, but the 250s were kind of like how are you going to stop Cole Davies? Because I guarantee you, with the kind of role that Cole Davies is on, this is exactly why Pro Circuit Kawasaki is crying foul already, especially after what happened to Hayden Deegan at the shootout in Birmingham, where they negated his 10th to first ride. And to be frank, not only is that a confidence docker, but it's also gotten a lot of people riled up, myself included. And what they did tonight with Cooper Webb in the 450 class, no, that's proof that the AMA is a bunch of cherry pickers. I'm going to talk about that a little later. But as far as the 250 class goes, it was good that Seth Hamaker was able to escape that bad crash in qualifying. And to be frank, if that bike had landed on his leg, that would have ended his year. No question about it. And to be frank, the fact that he was able to avoid getting punished by the motorcycle just pretty much kept his title hopes alive, or what was left of it. But at this stage, Seth needs a lot of people to come in between Cole Davies, or he's going to have to hope that Hayden Deegan does what he did at Denver last year and send Cole Davies over the turn and down on his head. But I don't know if Yamaha is going to be frowning upon that again, or they say, hey, don't do that again. We want this East title. You've already wrapped up the West title. Don't do anything unnecessary to Cole to win the East title. And to be honest, I kind of thought that Davies might get a second place, maybe third, but honestly, I kind of thought that he might be experiencing a little bit more learning curves this season as opposed to last year. I'm not saying he had anything handed to him last year, but at the same time, I do think that he has come into his own. And the fact that he didn't have much of an outdoor motocross season is kind of nullifying things a little bit with the way that he's riding. So hopefully that Seth Hammaker can find an answer to this season and maybe, just maybe, win Pro Circuit their first title, because as far as how Levi Kitchen is going and Cameron McAdoo's out with injury, as well as Drew Adams, Seth Hammaker might be their best bet for a title in Supercross, because that hasn't happened in 10 years. And to be frank, when Seth came into his own last year, I thought, okay, for sure, he's going to be a titleist. But Cole Davies kind of took me by surprise. I kind of thought that Seth would hand him his lunch, but it's kind of been the other way around. But I will say, though, as far as Hammaker goes, this is the kind of season that this could be one that's kind of make or break, kind of like with Nate Thrasher. And still, I hope those guys can find some answers for sure, especially Seth if he wants to win this championship. But we'll have to wait and see. But Seth is going to need a lot of guys to come between himself and Cole Davies, or maybe Deegan might be willing to give the Pro Circuit team some help. Now onto the 450 class. Hunter Lawrence falters. Ken Roczen wins. AMA not penalizing Cooper Webb is proof they're cherry pickers. I'm going to get that one out of the way. If you penalize Evan Ferry for what he did to Pierce Brown at the last race at Birmingham, why are you letting off Cooper Webb? Apparently, this is why I feel that the AMA is a bunch of cherry pickers, or they just completely lost their nerve and don't want to penalize the defending champion because Cooper Webb is the defending champion. That will be my take on why they decided not to penalize him. Because apparently, not only is the AMA a bunch of cherry pickers, but they've lost their nerve, without a doubt. Now, I'm going to get to the racing right now for the 450s. Ken Roczen wins. That was good for him, because even if Cooper Webb didn't have that confrontation with Jorge Prado, I have a feeling that Roczen would have been able to hold off Webb if he got up to second place and perhaps made a bunch of runs at him. But Hunter Lawrence, oh my God, I cannot believe that he had the kind of night that he did. He was doing so good, then he crashed in the whoops, and then he finished 18th after visiting the mechanics area and went down with Christian Craig. But honestly, I thought that was just racing. And still, hopefully Hunter can just see that as a bump in the road, and he'll come back strong and maybe win it at the next race. And hopefully he can avoid any more of those kinds of troubles. But Chase Sexton, holy smokes, that guy looked like he was a million times better from the first half of the season. Was it a bike setup thing? I don't know, maybe. But I also think that maybe Chase Sexton needed another break after how many times he had been racing for consecutive weeks. And then once that happens and the burnout returns a lot sooner than you think, it has a way of catching up to you, and then you long for another break. And I think that's probably what Chase Sexton needed. Am I saying his dislocated or his hip problems was a cover-up for needing a break? No, but obviously you can't put it past him. It could be either one, or it could have been a mix of both. But my take was Sexton needed another break. And that's where I'll leave it. So anyway, guys, that's all for today. I thought I'd keep it a little short. And remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to. I'll see you all after the next race in St. Louis.